Hey everyone, welcome back to B-Sense 2. Today in the garage we're going to be working on the Mark 4 platform again. What we're going to be doing is changing the front brakes this time, and there's going to be a second part to this, which is going to be the rear brakes. You can look for that link right here. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to just tell me what kind of other videos you want to see, just please put those below and maybe we can get to them. So let's get right into the video. See you guys later.
I'm not afraid of...
Alright guys, so once you have the wheel off, you want to remove the brake pad retaining spring. You can just pry this off with a flathead screwdriver. Alright, so next thing you want to do is remove the brake pad wear sensor. My clip is broken here, so normally got a little clip. That came off pretty easy, but you get the gist. Alright guys, so now let's focus our attention to the back side of the caliper. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove the guide pin protector caps. I did this with the screwdriver, and I think on the bottom one here I just kind of popped it off with my hand, whatever works. Alright guys, so now get out your Allen bit socket set and grab a 7mm. What I did here was I took a 1/2 to 3/8 adapter so I could get a little more torque on these just to break them loose. And then I went back to a regular ratchet because this is a little bit of a tight space. I hope this angle gives you an idea that how the pin's working, and you can kind of see this is almost out here, pops out for just a second. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the bottom one off before we continue. We'll take both of these pins out. Now you may put these on.
Now that you have the guide pins removed, you can pry off the brake caliper. Just use a screwdriver, hit it once from each side, and it should pop right off. Once you take the caliper off, you're going to want to hang it up. You can use a hanger. I prefer to use zip ties just because zip ties are awesome. So here's a little shot of me doing that here, just to make sure there's no tension on the brake line. Now you're going to want to pick up a piston pusher from your local auto parts store. These things are really cheap, maybe 10 bucks or so. Next thing, you're going to take off your reservoir cap. This is going to make sure when we push back the piston, like we're about to do here, that fluid is going to come and not screw any seals up or anything like that. Speed that up for you. Now when you're at the auto parts store getting that piston pusher, you're going to pick up some AntiSeize lubricant as well. We're going to apply this in a few places, and you just want to make sure you don't get it on the rotor, and if you do, just make sure you wipe it off. Now I'm sure you can guess what we're going to do next is we're going to apply some of that AntiSeize lubricant on the guide pins. We want to make sure that we don't get it on any of these threads so these things go in tight. You could even put a little Loctite on the threads if you like. Now once you have everything nice and lubed up, you can cut the zip ties and get that brake caliper in your hand and start putting these guide pins into the bushings. I'm going to put these in from the inside like this so I don't get any lubricant on threads that might loosen them up later. So put both of those on there.
Alright guys, so now grab the new brake pad and put it into the piston. And sometimes it helps if you kind of bend these little 3 prongs that I just showed you a second ago there. I sped this up a whole lot, just struggling and cursing at this thing to go in. But normally I kind of bend them back a little just so it goes in there a little bit easier. So what I just did here is I pushed the guide pins just clear of the bushing so that when we put this brake back on, it's going to go back on the weight. Now you can see what I did here is I got my 7mm Allen socket out and I'm going to line those guide pins back up with the caliper mount. And we lined up that bottom guide pin and we're going to tighten that guy up. Alright, now it's time to finally tighten these things up all the way, and I promise you guys a torque specs, so that you're going to torque these down to 22 foot-pounds of torque. You can kind of see I'm not doing that here, just doing it by feel, but if you like those, that's what it is. Now let's throw those dust caps on, and we're almost done here. Alright, so now we're going to put the spring back on. There's actually 2 little holes that these go into. I like to get the top one on first, sort of get the bottom one in, and then just pry that last little bit over the caliper where it needs to go. And I hope this helps the shot right here. Kind of giving it a little tap here just to make sure that it's in there all the way. Alright, great job guys. The last thing you want to do is depress the brake pedal a few times like this. And thanks for watching, and please let me know if you have any questions. Like if you liked the video. Thanks.